As hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Tuesday edition of the show. So pumped to be here with you guys on Orange Bloods Live and some big updates. Today, we're going to talk about a possible defensive line commitment forthcoming for 2025, or at least definitely some buzz and some smoke about another one of these guys. It's starting to feel like there's a whole lot of these dudes up in the air, Cody. I thought we could kind of go through and review where we are with them and where this particular player might fit in. Clark Lee had his press conference today. I thought it was a cool press conference that Clark Lee had today for previewing the Vanderbilt side of kind of what they're seeing coming into the Texas game. Cody has a new column up at Orange Bloods. Kind of, I guess, the behind enemy line stuff, looking at some of the conference opponents. I got in my new SEC power rankings to catch them. I thought we could kind of go over those and compare and contrast what Cody and I have differently. But Cody, how are you, brother? What the hell is going on with this defensive line recruiting?
I'm doing pretty good. I think as far as the defensive line recruiting goes, I think it's a big it's been a big question for the better part of 6 months, what they're going to do with this defensive line position, especially going into this class that has Lance Jackson currently committed to it. And we believe that Lance Jackson's a guy that can roll down and play 3-tech eventually, but he's currently listed at edge. They just got Myron Charles, who's listed at 6'5", 285, and Josiah Sharma, who of course flipped from Oregon, 6'6", 300 pounds. The big note that came in was from Jason's column, the 321 column. You can go find it over at orangebloods.com. Jason's on vacation this week, so what better time than to unpack his whole column and get you guys the goods. Mbachu was in town this past weekend, and sorry, that's just a fantasy thing popped up. Mbachu's in town for the weekend again after he left Austin. He decommitted from Florida on Sunday. I think it was like Sunday afternoon. He decommitted from Florida after that visit. And I think on the surface, we went into this last weekend believing that, if Texas put out a good outing or got the win against Georgia, that a lot of these big names, the Justice Terrys, the Mbachu, and who's there when I'm trying to think of, I just lost his Javian Hilson. These three guys was going to put Texas in a really good place as far as the defensive line room could go in this next class. And it didn't go great, but the words that were given back to Jason when he was talking to these guys, either over the phone or at the airport and stuff, it was that these guys had good trips to town. And of course, now you see Mbachu decommit from Florida. He listed off a bunch of team names like Auburn, USC, Florida, Michigan, and Tennessee that were all in Mbachu's graphic when he posted it up on social media. But this was his official visit. As after the official visit, he decommits. There's been a lot of feel the last month, I would say, from not only Jason, but from just reading things from multiple sites that have angled at Mbachu decommitting and being a favorite to Texas. So that was the update. And Alex and I both went and watched some more Mbachu today. This guy's listed at 6'6", 296 pounds in his huddle. Saw him play across the line of scrimmage, nose all the way up to 5-tech. I'd be interested to hear, you watched him, right?
Yes.
What was the first thing that kind of came to mind when you watched this kid play? Because I had two things. One was an ability, and another one was a player.
Well, was the player Alfred Collins?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I mean, that's what it is. But I mean, you can talk about it like that. I mean, that's. I thought Alfred Collins. I was just like, man, this is a guy who. He plays inside and nose. They play a lot of 3-man, like they play a lot of whatever his school. I forgot the Grayson in Georgia.
And
I'd be curious. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was one of these ones like
nope,
like Justice plays against, and like gosh, who was the last one we just did? There were two of these guys, Justice Terry, and there's another small school Georgia dude that man.
We just watched him last week.
Yeah, Texas is in it for him. I don't remember. Gosh, that's gonna drive me crazy. It's one of those things. But those guys were both in the 1A. What is Mbachu's categorization classification?
I think it's 5A or 6A.
Okay. So the team, I think the team's called Grayson, and like from
6A.
just yeah. So on the huddle reels, they play a lot of truth, a lot of truth. The win. Vivek B is reminding me is
Yeah,
Kevin Wynn.
Juju Win. Juju Win. There you go. Kevin Win.
The gosh, man, there's a lot of these guys. The first question with this guy is whether it's a defensive end or a defensive tackle. But
This guy,
I do see him like. But here's the thing: Alfred Collins plays all. That's one of the reasons why I kind of thought Alfred Collins. I mean, he plays some sub package end. There was only 3 games last season where he didn't play at least one snap at defensive end. You know, even last year when he'd kind of grown into his body. He's listed, and Mbachu's listed between, I think is he 6'4.5" or 6'5" is what people say about him. I think Rivals might have him. Does Rivals have him at 6'6"?
6'6", 296 was what his huddle has. Rivals has him at 6'6", 285.
Okay.
His frame can carry 320. I would say pretty easily.
I don't know what his frame can carry because I don't know what his true weight is right now. If he's right now, because if he's 285, he's a 285 that looks sort of like a 265, if that makes sense. Like I mean, he's long. He's really muscled up and rocked up, but he doesn't look thin, but he certainly doesn't have the mass that he could grow. Like, I think that he can put on 40 pounds of mass if he truly is 6'5". So if he could put on 40 pounds of mass, if he's 285 right now, 325, I think that's within reason. If that's the case, he's not going to be playing it. Like, he's listed as a strong side defensive end. He's not going to be playing strong side defensive end. He's going to be playing the exact same kind of role that Alfred Collins plays. So if you need him at nose, you can play him at nose. If you need him at if you need him at 3 tech, you can play him there. And if you need him in these heavy packages, these bear fronts, you can have him play at the strong side defensive end and have like the bigger. By then, it would be whoever's playing like the bear and Sorrell role, and have them be like more of the buck as opposed to the jack. And I think he's a great player. My favorite thing about him is just his ability to press off, and not quite the the thing about Kevin Wynn that's so special about him as an interior presence is just the maniacal burst and just the dynamite first step and the violence. It's not quite like that. It's a little bit more of a tactical press diagnose type of thing that you have with this player. And I think for his size and stuff, and I do say for his size because I'm not sure I would. So it is a qualifier. I feel like he's got pretty good bend and flexibility to him too, right? And you can see that bend and flexibility whenever he does. Like it takes a lot of flexibility through your hips to be able to press a dude off, and then be able to move him which way or the other, and then throw him to one side or the other whenever you get your diagnosis done. That's a lot of hip flexion. It's a lot of ankle flexion, and you can just, I mean, it's one of these guys where it's like, it's an easy eval. You don't have to worry about, it being any kind of, bust. This guy's going to be a good player at the next level. Now, whether he's just an uber difference maker, that's, on the margins is where you either win or lose with this kind of player. But I mean, he's going to come in and at least be a rank and file, baseline level defensive lineman, and how exactly where he ends up lining up will just have to do with how his body develops.
I think I'd agree with that. I think it's also important that you also have Josiah Sharma in the class, which is who's currently listed at 300 pounds. They're both going to be 6'6", 280.
Is Sharma 6'6"?
That's what they got him listed at, yeah.
Wow.
But 2 guys that are similar size. You also have Lance Jackson, 6'6", who, between 260, 280. We really don't know at this current stage, but we know that he can fill out to potentially be a 280 or 300 like his brother. So that's 3 dudes that are all around that same size. I think we would both agree that we feel best about Lance projecting to be the best of the 3 guys. But I think when you have 2 guys like Mbachu and Sharma, Sharma's not even ranked right now on Rivals. They have him as a 5.8 4-star, but he's not even ranked on Rivals right now. And Sharma was a guy that I think he was like 12th, if I remember right.
Yeah, he got a big bump. You were telling me,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Where did they bump him up to? He's at 5.9 4-star right now. He's D tackle 8, in the class. I did not realize it bumped up that much. For some reason, I thought it was like 12 or 13. Maybe he bumped up. Wow. Did they bump him up again? See here, the last movement was nope, that was back in September. Actually, no, October 5th, they moved him up to 139. Okay. So that was, I guess that was a couple weeks ago. But anyway, the point is, maybe Sharma is a clear cut better than Mbachu. I don't think they're that far apart, but I do think kind of the point you just made, which was, you know, we think he's going to be pretty good. It's more about when he gets in here, how he matures, how he gets into the lineup, and I think you like your dart throw in both having Sharma and Mbachu competing on the inside here with a guy like Mbachu that we've seen can play on the outside more. The versatility is more than anything, and maybe that's something we really haven't discussed. I guess the most this year is like it's interesting. I think seeing guys like the current edge rushers and the current D tackles move inside and outside right now at Texas. You know, we see Baron Sorrell work on the inside at times, and like you kind of the bigger media guys sometimes that don't watch any given team on a weekly basis. And hearing them talk about a certain team or a certain player or something, then they're like, "Oh yeah, 88, he'll move outside sometimes," and you're like, "What?" Like 88 plays outside. Like
Yeah, yeah.
but that's the idea of them like seeing him make plays on the inside. They're like, well, that guy's plays on the inside. That's just kind of what they take it for. But I think it's just the versatility more than anything, especially for all these guys that we just listed off, whether it's Jackson or Mbachu. I think Terry, who is 6'5", 275, that's a potential guy there. Of course, he's not obviously committed, but as far as what you're looking at, a guy
Why
that's
do they have why do they have Justice Terry? Like they have him, they're like, well, he's outright, he's a defensive tackle. But for Mbachu, they have still have him as a SDE. They're not baking in.
I couldn't tell you what the
Is it because Justice Terry just doesn't play defensive end really at his school?
I couldn't tell. I mean, again, like we're talking about levels, divisions that are completely different tiers, right? Grayson, where Mbachu's playing, is 6A in Georgia, where Terry's playing in Manchester is 1A. So it's like entirely different levels of. I don't know how you compare that in Texas, but I know I don't know if it's comparable to Minnesota at all, 1A and 6A, because Minnesota and has 1A and 6A. And I would tell you this, 1A and 6A, if you take the best team in both divisions, the 6A team beats the 1A team by 60 points.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's like in Georgia. I know Georgia's got good football, and I'm not saying that should be a differentiator in any way, shape, or form, but it could definitely be used in how these guys are. It could definitely be taken into how these guys are utilized in high school right now. But
we have a super, or not a super chat, but just an interesting chat here from Vivek B. He says, Alex or Cody, how do these guys compared to Chase Sims and also Sharma? Well, I haven't watched as much Chase. Wasn't Chase Sims committed to Texas A&M?
he still is, yeah.
Okay, but he came in.
Yeah.
From what I've seen of him, okay, all right. Well, let me pull up his huddle and just make sure it's the same guy I'm thinking of.
He's like 6'3". I think he's listed as 6'3".
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him in like it's like the 1v1 for him. If you like, the question would be like, how do you compare Chase Sims to Myron Charles? Would be, I think, the best. It's a different. He looks like a little bit of a different kind of prospect. Meaning, well, we're not talking. We're talking about. And I would say Win. How tall is Win? He's short.
Yeah, he's shorter, like 6'3", maybe.
So it's like kind of like, how do you compare Myron Charles, Win, and Chase Sims, as opposed to how you compare Justice Terry with Mbachu and Sharma? Like the last three that I just mentioned are like longer levered, big kind of Lance Jackson, like long levered, really big bodied, long arms, high cut, just really good looking players that you would say Well, I mean, in a perfect world where you could have some kind of, DeMarcus Ware type of, if like everybody could play like that at that high level, at that kind of size, that you could have them be like these awesome edge guys, but these guys just don't really grow into that. You know what I mean? It's a very unlikely thing. These guys are going to become interior players, but they're going to kind of have that look on them, like they're these like Alfred Collins kind of. It's just that's how that development Kenneth Grant, this kind of guy. Whenever you look across the college football landscape, so I wouldn't say that I wouldn't. I think Chase Sims just looks to me more like a dude who's like, okay, well that's a three technique. He's good. I just pulled up his huddle. I mean, his huddle. I mean, it's fine. I think he's. I think he's good. I mean, I think I would prefer. Are you watching Chase Sims right now? It's spelled CHACE, and Richmond, Texas, Randall High School. Uh, Even me, look, dude. He's a good player. I'm not sure. I mean, and I wonder what division Richmond Randall is. I mean, look. I mean, I think that Kevin Wynn has more impressive huddle highlights than this, and I think so does Myron Charles. But I've not seen any of them live. But I think that he compares, just from a prospect profile standpoint, more favorably to those guys that I just see as like, you look at him like, all right, well, that's a future three tech.
Yeah, I haven't watched him yet, but he was in for an official, so there's obviously interest there. So I can't comment on Chase Sims because I haven't even turned it on yet.
Yeah. So what any other stuff from Jason's column? Like any other stuff that like is just interesting that we should be getting out there? I know it was cool that, like, speaking of Justice Terry says that Texas made a big move with his recruitment. I would just wonder if it's like, man, is that kind of a weird thing for a Georgia guy to come in and watch Georgia just put on I mean, it was that defense. Dude, if I was a defensive prospect and I walked in and saw that defense, I'd be like, man, I could see myself in that defense. But then on the other side, it's like, man, I could see myself playing in this madhouse. You know what I mean? It's it can't be bad that he's saying that Texas made a big move. I think ultimately it'll probably come down to Texas and Georgia. It might be hard to beat out the home team.
I think that's the big thing. It's going to come down to these two teams, is what it feels like, and Georgia put on its best performance of the year. It's hard. I mean, Wynn, Mbachu, and Terry are all Georgia boys, and they're after all of them. And I would be coming into your backyard. And what do you say? Coming into your backyard and peeing on your rug. Coming in your backyard, taking three of your best.
Like go into your house, man. That's going into your house and peeing on the rug. You don't care about those outdoor rugs, man. The dog pees on those anyway. You don't want anybody walking into your house and getting your Texas Beef Traders snack sticks and peeing all over your rug, right? That's what you don't want happening. Do you want to? What about this question from Jose Rodriguez? Do you have any thoughts about this? How do coaches project out a player's potential to contribute, like Mbachu? Is it the same? Is that the same in the NFL? Pretty broad question.
Well, I think that a coach like Sark, who's been at the NFL level and is also like, I guess this is a weird answer here. A guy like Sark, who's been at the NFL level, I think would in nature recruit that way. And think in the SEC, you're seeing the transition to that over the last decade and a half to guys recruiting more towards projection, more towards upside, more towards ability, which is kind of what the NFL does. You saw guys like Trevon Walker or the big donkey Tyree Wilson, guys like this that are projection. And even we talked about Alfred Collins before the season. We talked about Alfred Collins before the season and why the NFL would like him.
You got your dog sniffing around on your feet.
He's got the damn big sheep down here. He's got the zoomies and he's squeaking this toy. And but I think when you think about it that way versus like across college football, across with a T, I think some schools can't can't really project that way. They have to go after guys that can potentially play now. Whereas at schools like a Texas or a Georgia or, Alabama and stuff like this, where you don't exactly need a guy to play on day one, it would be nice. So guys like Colin Simmons that you are just like, okay, well, this is a 5-star. We know he can play on day one. But past that, like, look at what Kyle Flood's done on the offensive line with the 3 stars, right? And gotten them to progress and progress and progress. You're recruiting after projections. So I guess it's a hard thing to answer, but that's kind of how I would say is it's something that comes from the NFL for sure. And it definitely is boosted up being in the SEC and being with coaches that are through that system. That makes sense.
One of my mentors in scouting and evaluation, when I was going around trying to, first start doing this after I'm like, dude, I can't play music for a career. I love football. I want to go watch these players. And, I knew a bunch about football. I grew up around a bunch of like coaches and going to practices and stuff. And, but one of my mentors told me that the hardest thing in the world is to evaluate high school offensive linemen to go to college. And it's just because with it, you're working with so many unknown factors. And that's why I'm just so obsessed with like foot size and hand size. He would just always tell me there's certain things that you can look at to say, all right, well, at least you can say, you can't always look at a big kid that weighs 265 pounds or something like that and say, all right, he's going to grow to be 295. Like he might not. He could be maxed out, and you're wasting your time. You got to look at the hands. You got to look at the feet. You got to look at look at their parents, stuff like that, right? And give you a good idea, because that at least gives you something like, well, even if he doesn't develop, even if his footwork doesn't get better, even if all the rest of this stuff, as he kind of becomes an actual adult human being, if the things don't fall into place to where he's going to be this terrific athlete that I've hoped, right? It's like, at least I got the size part right. You know what I mean? So like, at least you get that right. And so that's why you look for some of those little signs as far as that. But dude, as far as like all of this is a projection, all of it, every single bit of it, whether it's at the college level, the pro level, any of it, it is all a projection. And it's not just how do you project as an NFL player, because that's way too broad. It's like, how do you project? How do you project within my scheme to be able to get a down block on a covered on a defensive lineman over a covered lineman, and how do you project to drive that guy 2.5 yards off the line of scrimmage so my guy can get a solid pin and pull on, and we can get this runner in some kind of like outside zone or sweep kind of concept. Like, how do you project to do that? How do you project to do these particular things that I'm going to be asking you to do within my scheme, right? And coaches know that much better than scouts. That's why coaches and scouts always get in fights. That's why they, like coaches and GMs are just like, dude, it's like Bill Parcells says, what did he say? Something about like, if you want to cook the dinner, man, like I got to choose the groceries. It's like, I mean, you give me these guys and you say they have all these traces. Like, well, I don't care. I don't care about this. Like, I need to make sure that this dude has enough lateral agility to get into his 3-hole drop and make sure there's not a wide open zone window behind him. I got to, and you think I want a Mike linebacker that has like a neck roll and comes and runs downhill like Mike Singletary. Like, I don't need that. Maybe he's really good at that, but it's not what I need. So it's like it's projecting within the system, and it's also projecting with how the bodies are gonna be, and it's also projecting for how they are going to be able to compete against players at the next level. And that's why events like Cody and I are always going to the Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl and going to the Combine and seeing these guys just standing next to each other and doing jumps next to each other and stuff. People just like, oh, it's the Underwear Olympics. It's so stupid. No. If it was so stupid, like there wouldn't be hundreds of millions of dollars spent by these organizations to send so many of their surrogates there. It's like it matters. And so I think what further kind of complicates this discussion for the college level, as far as the evaluation side, is what Sark always says. It's like, are you taking a guy based on a projection? Because if you're taking a guy based on a projection, you better have a plan to at least kind of keep him happy and get him in games a little bit through the first part of his career. Mm-hmm. Because if it's a guy that you have a good projection on, you think he's going to grow, guess what? At the very point when he's getting to the peak of his powers, to where you're like, man, pretty soon we're going to be able to get this guy in. He's he's gotten to he's getting close to where we were hoping he was going to be. Next thing you know, he's coming to you and he's holding you hostage for NIL and a whole transfer portal thing. And that's why Sark loves the questions about what do you think about the guys that just sit and develop and then they get their opportunity. It's because that's what you would love to do. Like you're what has happened with NIL and with the transfer portal and with that, just everything, just the age that we're in, right? It's all tilting to coaches for lots of certain reasons. But I think that's one of the things that tilts the coaches the most is the fact that is this very question is how do coaches project out a player's potential? They spent their lives trying to figure out ways that they can project these things out. But now the timelines for it are all screwed up because you're worried about holding on to the guy. So that would be how I would answer that one. And honestly, it's a big worry. The one thing you don't need to worry about is where to get your beef. You don't need to worry about it. Have you gone to Texas Beef Traders?
I have.
Yeah. Have you gone to Texas? Dude, this beef from Texas Beef Traders, MTX beef, I think I'm going to have some tonight. It is this steak is amazing. There's no vaccines. There's no antibiotics. There's no weird steroids, no weird shots, nothing like this. Whenever you get a pack of beef, even the ground beef from there, it just looks different. Some of the beef I see at the grocery store, it's red, but I don't know, man. It's not like this deep, dark, like blood red, dude. It's not something that's like grass fed and then finished with all this awesome, like human grade stuff. Bovine nutritionist there on staff. It's processed right there at the facility in Mason, Texas. Now that's if you get the Angus beef. You can also get the Wagyu beef. You can get the Piedmontese beef from down there in Lukenbach. That Piedmontese ground beef, you can make burgers with that. It has less fat and cholesterol and calories than 99% lean ground turkey, but it tastes delicious. It's just amazing. Texas Beef Traders is where you got to go. You get 10% off whenever you tell them that you heard about them here on Orange Bloods. And if you go in there, they'll give you free food and they'll give you beers or whatever. And I understand if you can't make it into Lakeway, that's fine. Give them a call. Make your order. Make sure not to buy this beef from the grocery store that doesn't even come from America. It's probably coming from Argentina, and who knows what they're shooting that thing up with. Certainly a bunch of mRNA vaccines and all kinds of things like that. If you want that going in your food, fine. But, I mean, steroids, the antibiotics, call up Texas Beef Traders. 10% off, and Darren will bring it to your house. You don't even have to go to the grocery store. Texas Beef Traders.
What are you going to season your steak with tonight, Alex?
I'm not going to get to season it with our new seasoning, but spoiler alert, I can't put that out there. We don't even have the beef sticks ready yet.
Spoiler alert.
Pretty soon we're going to have an awesome new seasoning that we're going to be able to sell on here. Our own that we invented, and it's tasting really good.
You guys are going to love the artwork. You guys are going to love the taste of it.
Yeah, man.
Don't say too much.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited about this, but I'm not getting too excited because Darren is taking years to get this thing ready for this snack.
Darren.
All right. And Sandman says the jerky's fire. So Sandman sampled the jerky. Do you know one thing about Sandman, Cody? He looks nothing like I pictured. I mean, nothing like I pictured. Like everybody, see, like you guys all know what we look like, right? I have no idea I guess I kind of know what Jose Rodriguez looks like because I see his face right there, but I have no idea what these people look like. Sandman looks nothing like I pictured him at all. He's actually like an upstanding young gentleman. It's just crazy.
The thing is, like you got all these people in here with like Tyler. He's got a horn logo, a Longhorns logo. Money B's just got a basically an egg. Half the people on here don't have, it's not an Indeed profile, right? It's a
yeah. That's true. Tyler's saying that meat church seasoning all day, every day. Yeah, but see, man, I like meat church. I think the Blanco seasoning is really good. It's just we're gonna try and do this without MSG and see if we can do it. I think we can, and because I think it's delicious.
It's gonna be dialed. And hopefully we have it sooner than later. But we're working on some other stuff first, and happens.
Do you want to talk about do you want to talk about Clark Lee and his press conference, or is there anything like what about any of these other any other guys? Like I know I was excited about the Javion update. My sweet, my most darling 2026 running back recruit from, was he North Crowley or is he from Forney? I think North Crowley.
Are you sure? Now you got me questioning it. Forney. He's from Forney.
Forney. Okay. Well, a good update on him.
Pretty good update. He's going to be at Miami this weekend, and he's going to be down at College Station in a few weeks when Texas travels down there. He did break his wrist. I guess was the note. He had a cast on this weekend, but I guess he talked to Coach Choice, and I guess there was a pretty strong relationship there. I think it's a pretty good take. I mean, I feel like, and I want to hear your thoughts on this because I know the last 2 years you've been, Colin Simmons, DeCorian Moore, your guy, right?
Well, no, it was Colin Simmons and it was Mike Fasusi.
Yeah, but the year before, wait, doesn't DeCorian Moore on that too?
DeCorian Moore was not a no.
It wasn't no matter what.
If you made me choose the no matter what, the no matter what would have been Fasusi.
Okay, that's fair. So,
mine
for sure,
just because of the positional needs and the fact is like, dude, if they don't get DeCorian Moore, they might end up getting something that like they got, French, Lockett, McCutcheon, just like Yahtzee. So you're not gonna, yeah. So Fasusi.
Javion Osborne. Is he close to that? Is he close to that conversation? Because
after this last game, dude, maybe. I don't know what CJ Baxter is going to come back and really be. I don't know what Christian Clark's going to come back and really be. You know what I mean?
Does Blue feel like a guy that, I mean, he had 9 targets. I know we're making a big fuss out of the carries and stuff.
Did he have 9 targets?
Yeah.
He had like a 33% target share in this game or something?
Mega. I think the backs combined, I can't remember what Wisner had, but they combined for like, I can't remember the number.
Oh, dude, that drop by Wisner when I was watching it back today, he was doing he would have scored. I mean, he would have scored. If he wouldn't have scored, it would have been, I think
he would have made it at least to the 10, and I think that his will would have gotten him at least inside the 5, if not a touchdown.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I kind of think so too. I was like, if he wouldn't have scored, he would have got real dang close. But yeah.
Does Blue strike you though, Alex, from an NFL draft perspective? Does he strike you as the guy that has potentially done enough? He's putting enough on wax with the end of last year and the beginning of this year. I know the fumbles are going to be a thing that's there, but if he finishes out the year at a baseline level, is he a guy that you think? I think just based on the depth of the running back room and the idea that potentially they go out and get somebody else in the portal at running back, that Blue's like, all right, peace.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Is Jaden Blue ever going to be a day 2 lock at Texas?
Lock?
Yeah.
No, not with Wisner's role now.
So
I don't think he's done enough to.
I'd say that why not leave after this year then? He certainly doesn't risk. I don't think Jaden Blue risks going undrafted.
No, well, no. I mean, Keelan Robinson was a 4th round pick.
Are you sure he was 4th?
Wasn't he 117th overall?
I thought he might have been. Why am I thinking he was like 6th round, 5th or 6th?
Am I thinking of the wrong person or what? 5th. Oh, we're right in the middle. 5th round, 167. What did I say? 117. I was wrong. 5th round, 167. So I think the prospect of Jaden Blue right now gives you, I mean, return game, out of the backfield as a receiver. I think he can run between.
You like Keelan Robinson for? He's better at that stuff than Keelan was.
Yeah. So,
but I don't think that.
If you get 4th round, if you get late 3rd, early 4th grades, if he hears that in December, late 3rd, early 4th round grades, I think Jaden Blue goes to the league.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it doesn't matter for 2026.
No, I know, but I'm just drawing the line for the running back. We're just talking about the running back position. We brought up Javion and the importance of him. And when you're looking at the entire group, you're like, you got to check off the box. Who's leaving after this year? Blue, right. Probably. is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Wisner's back next year. Baxter's healthier. Clark is
Clark,
healthy.
Gibson.
Gibson's there. Niblet.
They
What do
Niblett
you
might
do?
Niblett might be finding himself in this kind of, I don't want to say like a death loop or something. I don't want to say like, but he might be finding himself in this kind of this sort of downward spiral where it's like I wonder if he's going to get moved kind of back to wide receiver or stuff, whether he just stays there and they're like, dude, you can be, because he is in a truly Keelan-ish role.
Yep.
Whereas Jaden Blue, until this last game, at least some was like at least some part of a 1A, 1B. I just didn't understand why, and as I'm watching this game back and I'm doing the offensive line grades and stuff, I don't, I think it could have, I think it stood to reason to me that you could have mixed Jaden Blue in more just in the traditional run game and just kind of see if he could have gotten you some kind of spark, some kind of outside zone. You know what I mean? Um, get him to the edge and see if he can find a little space. I'm not sure that the Trey Wisner, going up against this defense that was so attacking and they were just bringing overloads and stuff all the time. And it wasn't it. I'm not sure it was the right, it wasn't the right stylistic fit for a running back that you want going up against this kind of group, because it wasn't a group where the interior offensive line was able to really set up, really, really good blocks for a good patient runner with good vision to kind of wiggle through and, just churn his legs for extra yardage and consistent first downs. So I don't know. I think that, I was just reminded in this game that it was more because we're not talking about a player that gets here until 2026, but I was just reminded in this game about what it's like for Texas not to have running backs with good traits and nice traits that you really like, right? But to not have a Bijan,
Mm-hmm.
or you know what I mean? To not have just a total, a Jay Brooks or a Blue, how he was playing last year. But I look at Jay. I just think that from an off, Sark loves having these 1,000-yard rushers. Man, he loves having them. He wants to have them. I look at Javion Osborne and I'm like, dude, it's just so obvious. His traits are so. It's like it's in one of these. It's another easy eval. It's not easy in the same way that we were just talking about Mbachu earlier. Like, it's easy in the way of saying, like, dude, that kid's gonna be a star. He's gonna be a star. So I think it's just, I'm not saying that after watching that game, I'm saying Texas needs that guy, because Texas, the reality is Texas won't have him until he's a true freshman. Not this season, not next season, but the season afterwards, if they're able to get him. But I just think Texas in general, over the course of time for the program, you need those kinds of running backs, the ones that are truly special, especially from right here in your home state. So, yeah, big time in on him. And I don't know what was the exact update. We started talking about him, just that he's still down.
Everything was very positive. He had lunch with the coaches. He talked to Choice a lot. He's continuing to build a strong relationship. He said that Choice just kept checking on him. He's always checking in on him. He said he's waiting until the time is right to teach him about my film, walk through my season, coach me through it.
Oh yeah, and he broke his wrist.
Yeah. I said that before because he's wearing a cast. And then he's going to be on these other. He's going to like Ann Arbor to watch Michigan, Oregon. He's going to the Texas A&M game. He's going to Miami this weekend. But he said Texas will be a big factor in this.
Hey, but they say that Mbachu is going to Michigan for an unofficial this next weekend. Am I right about that, or am I? Is that fake? Did Jason say something about that in his column?
Yeah, he'll take Michigan official week this weekend in November. He'll take an official visit to Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, and Southern California.
He's going to enjoy this.
Jesus.
But I do think that Texas is in really good shape. And
I don't know if he takes all those visits. I would bet money against that.
I kind of don't think he does either. I think he will take the Michigan one. But do you know what I think is wild about the Michigan one? It's it's how are they going to recruit like big time defensive players right now? Whenever do you think the Wink Martindale is going to be there next year? He'll get an NFL job, right?
I feel like he will get a job.
So now they're going to be able to say, look, we have we got some dudes who are leaving. Like we really need you. Um, but I'm not sure that Mbauchu is the type of guy that you would look at and say
Bingo.
you're going to come right in and you're a step right in for Kenneth Grant or Mason Graham. Like he needs to develop before he can play at one of those inside spots, add on 30, 40 pounds. So I would just say at Texas, you have to, at Texas, I don't think that Kenny Baker was a reach of a hire or anything like that. I don't. I think he's been fine, but I also don't think that he's one of these coaches that's just like, saddles blazing to go on to some new job that, he's getting poached from all over the place for some like defensive coordinator job or something. Like that's not happening. So there's the continuity there. And Texas can point to the fact that like, man, they actually really do need help in a whole lot of these spots. So that's something to keep in mind too. I think that coming out of the weekend, what I thought was really cool was that you were able to bring into town that new Poncho shirt for me. It was an awesome one. It's not quite like this burnt orange one. My wife tells me that I need to get one of these burnt orange Poncho shirts, and I still am operating. So whenever I first signed with Rivals, Cody, Orange Bloods is Rivals. You had to sign this like code of conduct for all the stuff that you had to do, and one of them was you weren't supposed to wear the school colors or the school like the UT hats or something like that, because they didn't want it to be seen as favoritism with the reporters, the analysts and stuff. And I think since then they've kind of eased up on it a little bit, but there's something inside me that still says not to do it, But now that I'm allowed to, I think, yeah, dude, I definitely need to get one of these nice burnt orange shirts. Look how good that thing looks. And these shirts feel good on you. I mean, there's nothing like these. Cody can tell you just as well as I can. It's not just it isn't just these shirts. It's the denim ones. It's the hoodies. I mean, Poncho just makes a great quality shirt. And look, man, you can see the little thing. You can zip it up. There's a little pouch right there, right underneath that breast pocket on the left on the left side of Cole's chest. You can put whatever you want in there. Your phone. I put my fishing license in there, or my dry bag. It's just, man, it's a really cool shirt. Really good people, and they're lifetime guaranteed. Always wrinkle free. Make sure and check them out. Poncho Outdoors. Thanks so much to Poncho for being such great sponsors. Was there anything from Clark Lee that you thought was particularly interesting or noteworthy?
One thing, he said he was asked about preparing for two quarterbacks, which also Kirby was asked last week, and his response was, "We don't really prepare for the quarterback as much as we prepare for the system." And that he thought that no matter who plays quarterback, it's still the system that you have to prepare for, which I feel like we heard Kirby physically say, like, Arch is a little more athletic. He can push the ball downfield better. Like he said that in the press conference on a week ago for Georgia. And then he also said it at halftime of this game. And Clark Lee's response was more towards the system that they run, the system that they have, than it was about the player.
That's not really what I took away from it. I took away from it that where he says, he did mention that, like, it's the system, right? You prepare for Sark's system. It's the motions and the shifts and the eye candy and everything he does to create this extra space for these guys that are all real fast and all run sub. He said that every single one of their skill players runs a sub 10.5 100-meter dash in high school. It's like, I mean, Clark Lee is Clark Lee is I think he's an awesome coach, man. I think or just I don't I'm not, I think he's really good for what Vanderbilt it is right. I think he's a really good figurehead for Vanderbilt right now. I think he's a really good representative of them. He represents that school really well. Um, I don't know much about his background, and he like maybe he was some kind of dirtball at his old school or something. Like I don't know. So I'm not defending everything that the guy's ever done.
He played fullback for Vanderbilt.
Okay. But dude, he's like he's impressive with the way he answers questions and stuff like that. But just out of just this is just completely is he are schools gonna try and hire him out of there?
I think that would be. I think they'll try. I don't think it'll work.
What kind of school would he lead? Do you think? I think he kind of likes the idea of. I mean, he said like for somebody to take a job like this, you got to be a little bit crazy. You got I think the people that want to take on these hard jobs, and everybody said that that everybody always kind of laughs about the possibility of Vanderbilt in the SEC, and it's been a kind of a jokey narrative and stuff, and you'd be able to take that thing on. It's just like people who take on these kinds of jobs, we're all a little bit alike. We're all probably just a little bit crazy.
Where's he gonna go?
Well, that's the thing. I just wonder, like, is it like a Matt Campbell?
What do you mean? Is it like a Matt Campbell?
Well, there was just always thought that like one day he would get like if like Notre Dame opened up or Ohio State or what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
but here's the thing: Matt Campbell's at Iowa State, which is in the Big 12, and I think I agree with you. That was always the narrative with Matt Campbell, that he would go to a bigger school, that's the Big 10 or the SEC. But the problem is that Clark Lee is in the SEC, and
Yeah.
he just took down. I don't want to say the king, but the king of the last decade in Alabama. And I mean, I understand that Diego Pavia has now made this thing what it is, and he's been there for a couple years and hasn't exactly,
No, this is Pavia's first year at Vandy.
No, Clark Lee.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He hasn't exactly been a world beater. He was 2-10, 5-7, 2-10, and now they're already at 5 wins. So no matter what, this is. I mean, I guess I could say no matter what, but most likely he's going to win more games than he's ever won before. And there's upside to him winning as many games as he's won through the first 3 years at Vanderbilt. I just think that when you think about where's this guy going to go, like the guy is born and raised in Nashville. He played fullback at Vandy. Now he's the head coach of Vandy in the SEC. To me, it just feels like the perfect spot, and it feels like he's starting to get respect, starting to get this team dialed in. I saw today that Jared Curtis, the kid that decommitted from Georgia last week, who's from the state of Tennessee, is trying to. I think he's got a game that might interfere a little bit, but he's trying to visit Vanderbilt this weekend on behalf of Vanderbilt. Not because he wants. He does have an offer from Texas, but I think he's more so going there on behalf of Vanderbilt to take a visit at Vanderbilt, which is a big deal. The kid's a 5-star quarterback.
Yeah.
So if they can start recruiting to some level, and I don't know what their whole NIL situation is. I don't know what any of that looks like. But it is Nashville.
It can't be bad. They have rich Nashville alums. Are you kidding me? It can't be. I mean, it's not going to be
the smartest school in the conference, isn't it?
I mean, you're talking to. I mean, dude, Texas is one of the top schools in the whole nation. I think that Texas is.
How do you categorize that? What's that called?
U.S. News and World Report. You can look it up. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas is ranked higher than Vandy. But it's maybe some of it will come down to what you were actually wanting to major in or something like that. You got to. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like the Red McCombs Business School is like famous worldwide. I don't know that Vandy has one like that.
It's a private university, though.
What?
That might put it in a different classification. Vandy's private, right?
Yeah, but I mean, U.S. News and World Report doesn't care about that stuff. They just rank them. I haven't looked at those rankings in years, man. I have no idea. I just know that Texas is like Texas actually is a good university. It's not.
Well, I know that, but I was just saying the totality. I thought Vanderbilt was.
People in the chat might let us know, is Vanderbilt better academically than Texas? I mean, I think they're probably about on par, but I mean, Texas is a real good school, man. What happens here changes the world, you know.
Is that a saying from the school?
Yeah.
When you said that, I was like, wait, that is not an Alex quote. That is coming from something.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that, but that's the kind of thing. Like, I didn't know that he's from Nashville. It's like, if you're from there, you played there, all that stuff. It's like, that's the kind of thing where you just get a long contract, you stay there. You get, I don't know. I think you're probably right. I think you go looking for greener pastures. You go like take a job at what even is a job? Would you want to leave there for Mississippi State or something like that? South Carolina?
Hell no.
No. So it's like
it has to be like Bama.
What if it? Okay. Well, all right. What about a Big Ten opening like say Penn State?
No,
you wouldn't leave for that.
No,
because then you're just a 2-year head coach at Penn, 2-3-year Penn State head coach, and after that you're get a job as a quality control analyst somewhere, that maybe get brought on as a defensive coordinator or something like that at some other school or whatever. I'm not even sure if he's
I think there's some level of Penn State and like Kentucky to this Vandy job where like there's expectation. Well, I guess I shouldn't lump Penn State into that because Penn State's been good for, a long time.
Oh yeah.
Because of Paterno. But I think there's some level of Kentucky to Vandy to where Stoops has been there for, a decade, longer than anybody in the SEC conference right now. He's the longest tenured coach. I think that's something that like Clark Lee can 100% bring Vandy to that level. I'm not sure Vandy will, they're going to be ranked for, a week. And
yeah, I know. Yeah,
they're ranked, but that's a colossal
dude. It's a monster. It's a monster. Yeah, I mean it's a monster development for Vanderbilt.
He was asked today, have you talked to your team about the college football playoffs? Because of where you're standing right now, the college football playoff and the SEC championship is in question.
He's like, yeah.
I think it's important.
It's important to talk about it. It's like, it's where we are. It's like, he did say though, man, dude, I mean, they were pretty puny last week versus Ball State. I told you that I told you at Final Takes Friday at Texas Beef Traders that 42.5 line for Vandy versus Ball State is cock me, man. A perfect look ahead game, right? And he said, I love what he said. He said that you have to, how he's balancing this stuff. He was saying, that we have to, we have to embrace. I forgot exactly what he said. Like, we have to embrace like the fact that that we can win and believe that we can win, but not think we're entitled to win. And he kind of felt like that was how they were in that game. And that was what I predicted. He said that we weren't the more physical team on the field, and that was hard to watch and own up to whenever we watched the game back, that they were more physical than us. And I thought it was cool. But yeah, he just said that
out physical by Ball State.
Yeah, if you get out physical by Ball State, man, I don't know what that means about Texas. And look, I just think Texas. I talked about it yesterday, but I think Texas is in a peak spot here to maybe take things out a little bit on Vanderbilt. But what Vanderbilt says they're going to do to try, here's what they say that they're going to try and do to win this football game. He just says, that their life has changed a whole lot in the last month and a half. That Texas is coming off of a loss, and if there's extra motivation, he's like, he gets it, but we're motivated too. He just says that whenever what we need to do is we need to just do what we've been doing and not worry about Texas and what they are. It's like he's kind of taking the Sark mentality. He's like, I don't care about the opponent. We're going to play our game. And he says that's running to win, attacking the ball, protecting the football, um, dealing with this level of skill that they have. It's about how you vice tackle and condense space on the perimeter, can't allow for explosive touchdowns. We love nothing more to make this a really ugly game that comes down to time of possession and creating extra opportunities for our O. And when he talks about vice tackling, you can see it on defense. That's what they do. Like, I don't know if it's do you have a good way to explain vice tackling drills, Cody, or do you want me to do it?
You can do it.
Okay. So vice tackling is like, I think it's cool that he's talking about this. Because it goes to show me that his team focuses on the small details. But a lot of coaches would just say gang tackling. Just, whenever you do vice tackling drills, it's usually DBs that do them together, because what it is whenever you're in open space, it's like an open field gang tackling drill. And what I remember about the vice tackling stuff is that it's like two guys, and you've seen these things where it's like there's one runner and there's two guys that come in from like separate angles at him, and you see this at practices all the time, right? That's a vice drill, and what it is, it's the two players. What they each do is to ensure that against a skill player that you think is twitched up and they can maybe evade a tackle, that you get one guy with leverage to one side, one guy with leverage to another side, and you make sure whenever you're gang tackling that thing that you're gang tackling it in a smart way to be able to cut off any elusive maneuvers, right? And so whenever he's saying that is one of our biggest keys to the game, is to be able to condense space on the perimeter and just handle our vice tackling. It's like they're talking about the right kinds of things to be able to, in theory, beat a team like Texas. Now the question becomes, can they execute it? Because Texas is just a lot faster, and they're going to be really, really motivated. It's going to be an interesting game to watch, but I think that Vandy could be in for some trouble. What time is this game at?
4:30.
So 3:30 my time.
Yeah.
Gosh, I got to miss the first hour and a half talking all this fantasy stuff on SiriusXM. We had Big Chad Gibson asking earlier about whether he should keep we go after Bucky Gibson or I'm sorry. I'm just getting all my Bucky Irving, Tyrone Tracy,
Tyrone Tracy,
or who else?
Tyrone Tracy, Jalen Warren, Bucky Irving.
Not Warren. No, dude, no, Bucky Irving, dude. You have Mike Evans out for 3 weeks. You have Chris Godwin out for the season. They're gonna have to throw the ball to Bucky now. He might be one of their top target getters.
We got plenty of stuff to talk about tomorrow, but one last thing I want to ask you. Do you remember offhand where you ranked Vanderbilt in your power poll?
Sent mail. Jeff Ketchum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay. I put him at 7.
All right. Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find me on X at Alex Dunlap NFL. You can find Cody at Cody Carpentier. Again, if you're interested in talking with us about like sponsoring the show needs a title sponsor. I know that Sonny's talking to some people about that right now, but we'd love to get you in contact with her. If you have any topics you'd like us to discuss, please send them. If you have any feedback, just want to tell us you hate the show, you love the show, whatever, we'd love to hear from you. fwfemails@gmail.com. Please like the show, subscribe to the channel. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks to everybody that's been in here today. Thanks so much to Specs. Thanks so much to Poncho Outdoors. Thanks so much to Texas Beef Traders. And thanks so much to the viewers that keep coming back and making the show so successful. We love doing it. So thank you guys so much for being here. God bless y'all. We love you very much. All right. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.